we can debate the quality of Willian, but when you look at Willian from last season in Fulham, is playing high intensity games during the whole season. But he came to us with high expectations, and he got injured like almost straight away. And he's coming back. He's getting injured. He's coming back. He's getting injured. The pressure gets higher. When you look at him playing, he's fearing to get injured. Like the situation, he fight for the ball, and he hold his leg at the end. I'm sure he got injured again. And a lot of players this season, for some reasons, I don't know, either they get injured or they play with that fear of missing something. And the summer signings shows that, like Hazer, Velde, Yaremchuk, like the final pass of Willian is a perfect example. Why on earth would you try that? That you know you're gonna miss that, and the effect after that is worse. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say psychological, but the physical aspect of the team is instilling fears for me into some players, because Costulas has been very good technically, but mainly because of the energy he brings. He fights for every ball, and he's getting into hard duels, and we saw that tonight. And he's not fearing to get injured. Put Willian on that, and he's getting broken to 3 pieces probably.
Martial, I have a question for you though. I completely understand what you're saying. However, why would someone with the career of Willian, who knows his career is about to end, right? Theoretically, in the next couple of seasons, it will be ending. The man is 36. He has left the Premier League. He's gone to the Greek League for maybe 1-2 seasons, he's thinking, and then maybe go back home to Brazil or Saudi Arabia or whatever. He doesn't have a lot left. Why is someone like that worried to get injured? Because your career is ending anyways. You're not 23 years old where an injury is going to destroy everything. He's had a huge career. Yeah. He's achieved so much. Why would he be thinking like this? Just man up, stop being a pussy and play.
Mate, can I just say something? As a 38-year-old that was still playing football,
you don't look it. You look about 29, mate.
Mate, okay, yeah, obviously never played at that level, but when you're that age and you haven't like trained, I imagine when you haven't trained with a team since June, when the Premier League ended, you've joined at the end of the summer, you haven't played, you've picked up injuries, and you're coming back again now after a month. It's not like you can't just pick it up and expect him to be the player he was at Fulham at the end of last season, or in general, the way he was. And a player at that age, like, he feels his body different. So, like, I'm not ready to write him off completely yet. I'm disappointed so far because we're nearly December. And we haven't seen anything, like no goal contributions from Willian. The one positive thing I can remember from him is the press, I think, that led to the third goal against Braga when he'd come on as a sub and he was playing behind the striker. And that's it. But we've had plenty of examples of just being a bit too hasty with new players. And
no, I agree.
Just to talk about like some positives of the game, because there are some positives, like you said, limited at the beginning of the show. Danny Garcia, the last 3 games he's played, and mate, you can go back some videos, some live streams we did maybe a month ago, and I was saying, I don't want to see this guy ever again. Like, I'm done. But, you know, I also thought that we're still figuring the midfield out, right? And it's the first time we've seen a steady midfield of Mouzakitis and Heze starting the last 3 games, like 2 derbies, a European game. We were wondering whether Heze would walk back into the lineup today. He didn't. He stayed on the bench. Chiquinho too. He stayed with that pairing in midfield of Mouzakitis and Danny Garcia. And I think that's just an example for everyone. Danny Garcia got injured at the beginning of pre-season. Like, he's an older head, he's an older body. So, like, I'm not ready to write Willian off completely right now. And I think that the Danny Garcia example that Iborra last season is something we should just keep in mind. Like, That's just one thing I wanted to say.
Costa, I agree. I fully agree because I never want to write off anyone. Just like last year, you saw Jovetic and then Bora being crucial towards the end, especially Bora, especially in the big games.
Both of them.
But yeah, like some crucial calls. Jovetic showed his class, but Bora was genuinely crucial to like plenty of minutes in the game, not just like coming on as a substitute. So no, I'm 100% not writing anyone off. All I'm saying is mine was just a backup, a follow-up to what Martial was saying about the injury. Yeah, I'm disappointed, but like I this excuse that like someone's injured and he's been injured for a long time, someone with the experience and the career Willian has had, I don't know, it's just soft. It's a soft excuse. It really is a soft excuse. And if you go back to when we had our what signing we're most excited about, that all the hosts did, and when we posted it on socials at the end of the transfer window, mine was Willian. I was most excited about Willian, a player of his caliber coming to Olympiacos. And he wasn't like a coat. He wasn't a palto, like someone who hadn't been playing for a long time, like Marcelo, or James, who would sort of come from nowhere in like Saudi Arabia or like the ends of the bench and hadn't played in like 3 years. This is a man who was a regular for Fulham last year, for a Premier League side that exceeded expectations. Fulham were better than expected last year and have been for the last couple of seasons under Marco Silva. Big shout out to our former manager, one of my favorites that we've had. So that's my issue with Willian.
Did either of you get the impression that some Olympiacos players didn't want to give the ball to Velde in the second half when he came on?
I don't think he even touched the ball.
I don't think it was a purposeful thing.
So there, like, you saw him like trying to get himself into space, like down that right-hand side. Rodinet's got the ball. The moments you're just like, give him the ball because he's the only, like one of the only players on the team that can make something happen out of nothing. You're waiting for something from him, and I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it.
No,
too much.
The comments seem to be agreeing with you. Look, AB saying Eze didn't pass him the ball, and Rodinet as well.
Yeah.
So
maybe there were moments where like we were talking with a Polish journalist over the last kind of week, 10 days, and there's a YouTube video he's done which is in Polish, and basically he's talking about some things that happened in the locker room or some things that were happening at Lech Poznan in the previous season. And it was a lot of the focus was on Velde and how at the beginning of the season, or it was hard for him. Like he went in with this kind of alpha male mentality of, I'm the best, give me the ball, and wasn't a team player, didn't fit in very well. It's kind of, clashing with his teammates, etc. And, that even led to some issues, I think, with the coach. And he was under fire for a lot of the same reasons he's under fire right now. Olympiacos, Mendilibar's not playing him because he's dismissing his defensive duties, for example. But that's all negative. But then the Polish journalist says that there was a certain moment last season where it just clicked, and then like it was game over for the Polish league, and then you couldn't stop him, and that was recognized by all his teammates. And I wonder if he's going to have that chance. Is he going to find that moment like where it clicks and he becomes that player that we saw glimpses of during the friendlies this summer? But I just thought that's interesting, like an interesting story, interesting context for anybody that hadn't heard that before, in terms of just, getting to know the player and trying to understand what's going on with him right now. I'd
heard the story, and it wouldn't be a surprise for that to have happened. However, I think my biggest issue is that he did kick on really well. He came on and sort of hit the ground running with the friendlies. I thought he was one of our best players in pre-season. Yeah. and it's, instead of him carrying on that momentum and going forwards, it's sort of gone backwards, which is what's upsetting me, because I don't think it's the other players not passing the ball and having a bad mentality. I think something's happened and his confidence has taken a hit. Because for me, there's no other logical explanation. Obviously, there could be something that's illogical, and I'm not saying that this is the case, but this is what makes sense to me. He's had a couple of games where he's been shit, and then boom, confidence just gone. And maybe he's maybe he's a real confidence player. I'd be surprised if it's something else than that, because he's not a player that came in and seemed to have caused trouble and just been shit and having bad attitude from the start, because he seemed to be decent, good in preseason. I thought he was I thought he was one of our best players.
He was. Yeah.
I'd be quite surprised if there's beef.
I do have one other question, like pertaining to the game, and it goes back to Velde. Do you think you should have brought Velde on instead of Willian earlier? Played him out on the left, get him some touches on the ball, allow him to run, cut inside. That's like one criticism I certainly have of the manager today. Like, you're bringing Willian on. You know, he's got all those things I said. He's an old body coming back from injury. You're bringing him on the 55th, 60th minute, and you're leaving Velde on the bench and bringing him on the 75th. He's got 15 minutes to do something, and we're calling him finished because he couldn't do anything out on the right, where we know he's not as good as he is out on the left, where he can run at people, cut inside. Now, what did you guys think of that?
My opinion is the more it goes and the more I watch football, people will say, okay, shut up, Martial, with that saying, but the 5 subs rule has completely fucked football. Like, you will find one change out of 5 or 6 that makes sense in a game. And I agree with you, Costa. Tonight, you basically had to change probably Yaremchuk with Kostulas, because Kostulas was tired. You needed to throw Velde earlier for either Rodinei or Costinha to put him on the right wing to create more danger. And probably a last sub with a midfielder if by miracle we scored a goal and we needed to fight for the 1-0.
I mean, there's one name. There's one name we haven't said like all the show. Masuras. But
yes, we needed to come off at halftime.